In a matter of weeks, Comcast is going to try to sell you a TV. And I can understand if you might be tempted by the idea of no longer needing a cable box to get cable TV, but I implore you, don't do it. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and today I'm going to run down the reasons why I think you should steer clear of purchasing a TV made by your cable company. I will say there's one possible exception. If you love your cable box, and I mean you really enjoy your cable box and its remote control and can't imagine how you could ever watch TV without them, then maybe go ahead and buy one of the TVs they'll be hawking. Otherwise, I think buying a TV from your cable operator is one of the worst tech-based decisions you could make this decade. Not because the TV itself is garbage. I mean, the picture quality will probably be pretty good, actually. Rather, it's all the junk your cable company is going to cram inside that TV that has me worried. Before I get into it, did you even know this was going to be a thing? And now that you do know, what's your knee-jerk reaction? Do me a favor and leave me a comment about that down below. And while you're down there, consider liking this video if you enjoyed it, and maybe subscribe so you know whenever I put out fresh content. We like to have fun here, and I think you'd enjoy it, and maybe even walk away a little bit wiser. Thanks so much for considering. Now, let's get into this. First off, how did we get here? Well, in October 2021, Comcast announced a partnership with Walmart to sell so-called XClass TVs, made by Hisense, but with Comcast branding slapped on the outside and Comcast software built inside. Comcast is doing the same thing in the UK through its Sky subsidiary with a TV called XClass, a name that is unironically far too close to spyglass. Now, I think this is just the beginning. Before long, other cable operators will follow suit. So whether you have Cox or Rogers or Spectrum or whatever, you can expect something similar coming down the pike. Okay, so now that you know how we got here, here's my first reason not to buy a TV from your cable company. The UI stinks. When was the last time you sat down to watch TV, grabbed your cable box remote, and thought to yourself, wow, I love this user interface. It's just such a joy to find and start what I want to watch. It's super quick to click around too, no lag, no frustrating loading delays. It just works for me. And when my parents and grandparents come over, they have no problem using my TV at all. It all just makes so much intuitive sense. Never. The last time you said any of that was never, and you will probably never say that about anything onto which your cable company slaps its name. Now, to be fair, I was talking about this with my colleague Simon Cohen, and he claims that his Rogers cable experience, which is licensed from Comcast, isn't that bad. Two things leap out at me here. One, Simon is a Canadian, and a stereotypically nice one at that. Two, not that bad isn't good, let alone great. Now, I'm not in a good position to conduct a legitimate poll, a fact on which I blame the pandemic, but I'm willing to put at least 1/100th of Bill Gates' money on the fact that if you sat 1,000 test subjects in front of 4 TVs, one running Roku, one running Google TV, one running Amazon Fire TV, and one running Xfinity, or insert your hated cable operator name of choice here, 97% of them would choose one of the options that were not called Xfinity or anything that worked remotely like it. And the other 3%, well, weirder stuff is happening in the world today. Reason number 2, they're spies. Okay, sure, they are all spies. They, meaning streaming platforms like Roku, Google, Amazon, they're all collecting data on what you watch, how long you watch, when you watch, if you watch with your cat, dog, or parakeet, and whether you use real butter or imitation butter on your popcorn. Don't be an animal. But the risk with giving your cable operator more insight into what you watch isn't that they'll be gathering Nielsen-style poll numbers for show ratings of the live TV you watch, it's that they'll know about everything else you watch too, be it on Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, or HBO Max. A TV made by your cable company is, admittedly, just an extension of the data gathering that's already happening to you. The problem lies in what your cable company can do with that information that, say, Roku can't. See, in most markets, cable operators are also internet providers. So even if you aren't watching cable TV through cable, you still rely on that cable operator for the internet that gets you your Disney Plus and HBO Max. That's where a lack of net neutrality could become a big problem. All of these companies can do stuff with your data, but only your cable company has a handle on the pipe it comes through. Your cable company has a vested interest in you watching Game of Thrones, for example, through your cable subscription to HBO, as opposed to your streaming subscription to HBO Max. In the case of the former, your cable operator makes money. In the case of the latter, they make significantly less. Unless, that is, they were to use the information they gather about your viewing habits to jack up your internet bill, or worse, start messing around with your data cap. Imagine if your data cap were to be manipulated in such a way that you felt compelled to watch HBO through a cable subscription instead of a streaming subscription. I don't know about you, but I don't like the sound of that one bit. Reason number 3, no 4K HDR or Dolby Atmos. While nearly every major streaming service offers content in 4K and often with HDR or Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, cable operators are looking woefully outdated. Most cable channels are delivered in 720p at best, and as a reminder, 720p is the lowest resolution that can be considered HD, and it's been around for a decade. This isn't technically your cable operator's fault. Networks are sending cable companies their channels in 720p and without added benefits like HDR. It's worth pointing out, though, that Comcast owns NBC, so if it really wanted to improve your viewing experience, wouldn't it have started to make bigger moves by now? And maybe they are behind closed doors, but it's a technical hurdle broadcasters don't seem super eager to jump. And I get it, too. Traditional delivery pipes aren't equipped to handle a move to 1080p or 4K en masse. To do that, cable operators would need to move to IP or Internet Protocol-based delivery. Basically, cable companies would need to go the Netflix route. So is that what they're doing? I mean, why are they really doing this? To be a good reporter, I need to ask cable operators why they're going to put their names on TVs. And I have. We'll see what they say. I don't expect to get an answer that isn't heavily vetted by lawyers and boilerplate enough to hand out to any reporter who asks, and there will be many of us. And I also don't expect full transparency. Why should I? Their business roadmap is understandably kept under lock and key. But that's why I'm here making an educated guess. So as long as I'm making educated guesses, I have to think about where cable operators have skin in the game, how to protect those interests, how they might want to pivot to stay relevant. With that in mind, let's explore some theoretical scenarios. Comcast now makes a TV. Comcast makes buying that TV an option or alternative to using a rented cable box with your own TV. Customers buy that TV during a transition period, and Comcast starts learning more about viewing habits than it's ever had since its inception. Turns out, folks prefer streaming. It looks better, sounds better, it's on demand, it's easier to get to, it's easier to navigate. So Comcast pivots to an IP delivery platform. Now you can use your internet connection to get all of your cable TV content. And as long as you're streaming cable content, then the data doesn't hit your data cap. However, if you stream HBO Max or Disney Plus, it does hit your data cap. Don't forget, net neutrality isn't a thing right now, thanks a big bunch Ajit Pai. So let's posit that your cable company decides to get rid of cable boxes because this IP-based delivery thing is really working out well for them. But instead of replacing those old cable boxes with an IP-based alternative box, they decide that instead of renting you a cable box, they'll just rent you a TV with the tech needed already built inside. Or you can buy the TV if you want, but then you pay an access fee instead of a TV rental fee. That sounds like diversified revenue streams to me. I mean, have you looked at your cable bill recently? You see all those fees on there? Do you even know what those are for? Well, this would just be another one of them. Now let's take this cable TV dystopian nightmare to the next level. Let's say you one day get wise to your cable company shenanigans and fed up decide to cancel your cable subscription entirely. You go 100% streaming. You could use Sling TV, YouTube TV, or any number of other options for your live TV and DVR needs. What do you think is going to happen to your internet bill at that point, or your data cap? Also, if your cable company had this much control over your TV hardware, could they decide to one day just brick the TV? Samsung can apparently brick its TVs, so it's not a far-fetched notion. Does this sound like a bad idea to you yet? It does to me. But as I pointed out, this is all conjecture, and I've spent zero time in this video giving cable operators any benefit of the doubt. What if they only have the best of intentions? What might that look like? Is real change on the way? As cord cutting has migrated from minor rebellion to mainstream movement, I've been wondering how long it would take Comcast to pivot. And feeble attempts to bundle Netflix apps into its leased hardware notwithstanding, I've been surprised to see no real signs of adaptation. Until now. This feels like Comcast's opening move in its long game to stay relevant amid a rapidly evolving market. Comcast's own Queen's Gambit, if you will. Is it possible that Comcast only has its customers' best intentions at heart? I dug deep, and honestly, I have no reason to think so. No. Comcast's history speaks for itself. I think Comcast needs to go in a new direction, maintain profits, maintain control, and perhaps I'm just a little bit pessimistic, but I just don't see this move being in the customer's best interests. I'd love to be proved wrong, but only time will tell whether I'm wrong or right. And if I'm right, well, then it'll probably be too late. Folks, we vote with our wallets, so keep that in mind when you consider purchasing a TV made by your cable company. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. What do you think? Are you going to steer clear of your cable company's TV offerings? Leave me a comment about that down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and here's 2 other videos that I think you'll like.